Their honeymoon journey unexpectedly uncovers an asteroid capable of destroying Earth. A new Earth, a civilization where humanity is not the ruler. We still have a chance. Perhaps we'll return to the top. Only the most advanced life forms within an ecosystem contemplate destiny. And for tens of thousands of years, humanity has held that position on Earth, pondering our fate for millennia. But what if we weren't the dominant species, unable to decide the fate of other creatures? Would we be willing to accept such a loss? What might our destiny have been then? Let's delve into Liu Cixin's captivating short sci-fi tale, Fate. In deep space, 1.8 million kilometers from Earth, we encountered an asteroid, a surprising turn for what was supposed to be a simple honeymoon trip. We'd rented an old-fashioned, compact spacecraft to enjoy a leisurely vacation among the stars. The trip was charmingly slow and nostalgic, adding a unique romance to our journey. But the asteroid we met on our way back changed everything, giving the honeymoon a strange twist. It was an irregular, elliptical rock about 10 kilometers across, slowly spinning in space. Our computer quickly calculated that it would crash into Earth in 18 days. The space station's monitoring system should have detected this asteroid well in advance and issued a warning, even a preventive measure. But we had received no notice, no message of any kind. There we were, staring at it in the void, knowing it was headed straight for Earth.
No response. We spoke with the station barely 10 minutes ago.
Emma's voice trembled with unease, her fingers pressing the transmitter again and again, trying to re-establish contact. It was as if everyone had vanished. The only reply was the static hum of our radio. This silence unnerved us more than the sight of that asteroid hurtling toward Earth. 50 kilometers in front of us, it loomed like an exhibit under a spotlight, undeniably real. I blinked, making sure it wasn't a hallucination. We had to do something. Emma was right there with me.
We could launch one of our engines toward it to shift its trajectory.
We let the computer handle the details, distancing ourselves to a safe range. A few commands later, the spacecraft's engine detached from the hull, its exhaust flaring across the observation window as it accelerated towards the asteroid. Seconds later, sparks flared on the asteroid's uneven surface. In an instant, it became a miniature sun, flooding our cabin with blinding light. Then, as suddenly as it had expanded, the light collapsed, dimming back onto the asteroid's surface, leaving nothing but a small crater and a trail of dust. According to the computer's calculations, though, its trajectory had changed. Earth's gravity would now capture it as a tiny moon. Emma and I embraced in the cockpit. She chuckled.
Think they'll charge us for the engine?
Who dare, I replied gently. We just saved Earth. In fact, this asteroid is now ours, and the minerals on it might make us rich. Our spacecraft began the long, slow return to Earth, coasting on our remaining engine. But there was still no response from the space station, and anxiety gnawed at me. Pointing to the Earth on our monitor.
Look at Earth.
The image stunned me. There was Earth, no doubt about it, with the same orbit, satellites, distance and color. Yet the continents were shapes I had never seen before. The computer solved our mystery. We were seeing Earth, yes, but from the late Cretaceous period, some 65 million years ago, back when the supercontinent Gondwana still held sway. Back in our own time, humanity had harnessed the power of spatial warping for interstellar travel. Every launch of a stellar-class ship left behind one or more wormholes floating around Earth. Ships that stumbled into them were flung light years away, either forward or backward in time. As technology advanced, new wormholes carried only temporal properties. You could travel through one and jump in time without shifting your location, and if you retraced your steps, you'd return precisely to your original time. Clearly, our little ship had slipped through a wormhole and we hadn't even noticed. Temporal misjumps weren't unheard of, but ships that jumped backward had always returned. One mining ship, in fact, had glimpsed Earth's Cambrian era, its land masses dark and volcanic, surrounded by an ocean still devoid of life. but ships that jumped forward had never come back. This had given people a comforting vision of a bright future. But for the Earth Federation, the real concern was temporal displacement to the past. Under federal law, any ship missed jumping into the past had to return as quickly as possible. Failing that, the crew had to pilot it far away from Earth and self-destruct to avoid risking history and catastrophic paradoxes. Oh my God, what have we done? My earlier thrill vanished as I slumped back into my seat. Emma's face turned pale with understanding.
We pushed away the asteroid that would have wiped out the dinosaurs.
She whispered, her voice breaking. We decided we had to go back, retracing our path with careful precision. Don't worry, I reassured her. Not every minor change leads to the butterfly effect. The journey back went smoothly. Passing through the wormhole again felt like the universe winking in and out, so seamlessly that we hadn't noticed the first time. The moment we re-entered, the radio crackled to life with unintelligible signals, low, guttural sounds that the computer struggled to process. The Earth's continents had resumed their familiar outlines, and any changes seemed trivial. We detected no other ships in orbit and eventually landed near the Australian coast. Our ship sank into the Pacific as Emma and I drifted in our lifeboat. It all seemed the same. The blue sea, the sky, unchanged since we'd left. On the horizon, a vessel appeared. I fired a flare and it altered course to approach us. Emma clung to me, her relief spilling over in tears. I held her close as the ship drew near. The vessel looked archaic, its dark-skinned crew dressed in ragged clothes. They threw down a rope ladder and we climbed aboard, eventually facing the captain. Our portable computer detected that they spoke a variant of ancient Latin, a dialect perhaps barely translatable.
How could you drift here in the middle of the sea without fear?
The captain asked. Fear of what? The computer translated. The captain gestured to the water. The sun had risen, casting golden light across the waves, but then a wave broke, revealing a gigantic head, then another and another. It was a herd of colossal creatures swimming around the ship. Emma and I gasped, realizing this was the consequence of our actions 65 million years ago. The dinosaurs had survived. One dinosaur paused beside the ship, its massive form casting a shadow. Water streamed down its scaly skin and tangled veins as it moved.
Don't worry,
the captain said, our translator stuttering slightly as we clung to each other, trembling.
They're harmless. This is a zoo.
Sure enough, the dinosaurs observed us for a moment and swam away. In the distance, other ships bobbed on the waves, surrounded by more dinosaurs.
Guess we were wrong,
Emma murmured as we stared out over the sea.
Dinosaurs didn't hinder humanity. They made us stronger.
The captain looked at us, puzzled, repeating,
They're harmless. This is a zoo.
Finally, we saw the structures on the distant coast, rows of colossal white pillars pointing toward the sky, soaring among clouds. From the ship, we felt like ants in a forest, overwhelmed by our own insignificance. Emma asked,
How tall are those buildings?
I answered, about 10,000 times your height. Emma continued,
That's over 10,000 meters. So that must be several thousand floors.
The captain, gazing into the distance, replied,
Only 100.
Magnificent palaces, grand human civilization.
Visitors built those.
He replied, matter of fact, visitors. Of course, in a zoo there would be visitors. But where were they? Then, from the water, the dinosaurs emitted sounds that grew increasingly familiar, like static-filled radio transmissions. And just as I looked up at the towering buildings, everything became clear. The universe had never specifically chosen humanity. Our civilization's grandeur was simply a fortuitous result of chance and effort, misunderstood as destiny. Now, the coin had flipped to the other side. The captain's voice reached us again, translated by our dwindling technology.
Come with us. You're well suited to be on display.
On display? I shook my head. I want to go ashore.
Are you mad? You'd be caught and become cattle. Humans raised for food. 1,000 cattle a day are needed to supply those towers. Here in the zoo, you'll be safe.
Our world turned cold like a crypt, and my only thought was to end it all before anything worse happened. High above, that asteroid continued circling the Earth as it had for 65 million years.
The visitors call it the Demon Star.
The captain said,
Their scientists believe that eons ago it was hurtling straight for Earth, but a savior's explosion nudged it away, sparing life on the planet. The crater on its surface is the mark of that blast. Today, they've built cathedrals to honor and worship the savior.
I asked cautiously, "Do you know where we're from?" The captain only shook his head, indifferent. Domesticated creatures are rarely curious. But I turned to Emma and said, "Compared to them, we still have a chance. Humans are not livestock. We have to try something." The flight log of our ship had faithfully recorded every detail. The asteroid engine, our journey through space, and the Earth of 65 million years ago. I pointed to the visitors and asked the captain, "Do you speak their language?" He nodded. "Then tell them, we are the saviors who diverted the doomed star. Ask if we can show them our proof." The people on the boat froze in shock, staring as if not quite believing. Impatiently, I urged him, "Go on. I'll explain more about humanity's story afterward. But for now, just translate." As the captain's voice carried the message across the water, the dinosaurs began to gather around the ship's edge, their massive heads emerging from the waves. I held Emma tightly, wondering what kind of fate awaited us now. Maybe humanity's wisdom would find recognition again, perhaps leading us to coexist peacefully with these ancient beings. Or maybe...